Loading. Welcome to Access the Animus.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new video here on Access the Animus. In the last few months you might have seen us doing our best to translate some of the toughest and unknown languages of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, like the Isu language, the Mohawk one, and even a letter in Old Irish. But today we're going to bring you the hardest, the toughest translation of them all. Yeah, today we're going to translate Brigid's dialogues. For those of you who might not remember, Brigid was the Anglo-Saxon woman that Gunnar the Blacksmith married at the end of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, who spoke with a heavy combination of Welsh and Old English dialogues, and that most of the characters, Eivor included, weren't really able to understand. In the video we're going to show you the translations to all the lines by Brigid that we were able to find, even the various dialogue choices, ranging from Brigid's dialogues from the Glowecestrescire Arc of the main game to the very romantic wedding with Gunnar, which you'll finally be able to witness in its full extent, and even some lines taking place in Ravensthorpe after the wedding. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it, subscribing to our channel and turning the notifications on so you won't miss any of our future updates. And with that out of the way, let's jump into our translation of Brigid's dialogues from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. As we mentioned earlier, Brigid is the woman that Gunnar, the blacksmith from our settlement at Ravensthorpe, started dating at the beginning of the Glowecestrescire Arc of the main game, and that we later got to meet through Eivor during the events of said narrative arc. By the time we meet her for the first time in the town of Glowecester, we found that Gunnar is already deeply in love with her after meeting her in Ravensthorpe, where she was trying to sell runes. The most relevant trait of Brigid is, of course, her way of speaking, that is a mix of Welsh and Old English, and then in the game is dubbed, perhaps a bit rudely for those who might actually understand it, as unintelligible. Well, we for sure weren't able to understand it at first, but again, as we did in the past with the other languages from Valhalla that we translated, we still set ourselves on trying to find a way to bring you what those lines meant. So if we managed to translate the Isu language by ourselves and the Mohawk or Iroquois one with some help from the Kanyenkahaga Cultural Center, for Brigid's language we had to search for some help from a friend that knows how to navigate the game's files. As a matter of fact, it does appear that somewhere within the game's code there are some original translations of Brigid's dialogues. What follows then is the translation of Brigid's lines as it is saved in the game by the people who worked on the game itself. So as we did for the video about the Mohawk language, we will show you the various sentences with a translation or transcript of what Brigid says placed at the bottom of the screen as we follow the narrative flow of the game. Just one caveat, if you haven't played the Glowecestrescire Arc or Gunnar's wedding yet, or if you don't recall the events surrounding them, we suggest having a look at them first before coming back here, as for the sake of clarity and brevity, we won't show all of them, but just the sequences where Brigid actually speaks.
Eivor, thought I smelt you on the wind.
Alright, we will start then with the first time Eivor, and thus the player, meets her and Gunnar in Glowecester, and as we mentioned earlier, we will show you Brigid's answers for all the possible dialogue choices.
Meet Eivor.
It takes a rare woman to nail down our Gunnar. Good to meet you as well. How did you find a woman in these backwoods?
She came through the settlement selling runes, outshone every stone in her satchel. She offered me a trade, a rune for a brooch I was making. I got a better deal, but she loves the ugly little thing.
Have you a family, Brigid?
Nath Mom and Dad carried Evan Gillid and Anun. Cannon helped druise me.
What do you do around here, Brigid? Except keep Gunnar out of mischief.
Runes, chams.
The third option doesn't lead to any sentence pronounced by Brigid, and as such we skipped it.
What about it, Bridge?
Dim jolch. You two bags of air sich o gumpas gilid. That Eivor gal clis llawn.
After this first scene, we move on to the moment in which Eivor goes back to Gunnar after protecting Tewdwr from a boar attack while he was praying at St. Kenhan's Fall.
Accosted by a singular of boar.
Odd, but Pafna usually saff. To the Brivo.
If at the following choice you pick the first line, there is no sentence pronounced by Brigid again. Otherwise, these are the answers you will receive.
I'd quite believe it.
I watched the Egloi's father's Harden call on Tewdwr. He believes Mavanade quite do.
I need a drink.
Try the cider. It's from last year's apple harvest. Skull.
Skull. So, you invited me to a hoodening. What mischief is this?
Ni gwisgal anfel ysbrydion and creatures of the Vale. The bag for treats.
In order to hear Brigid's voice again, we have to follow the Glowecestrescire Arc story until the moment in which we find Gunnar involved in a brawl with some locals, and Eivor gets into it to help him.
Let me oblige.
Christ, him tall.
After you successfully end the brawl and Gunnar sits on the floor with his leg injured, you can listen to Brigid as she says,
Buenavalis Macallon.
It's nothing.
Careful with the old man. He's had many winters' worth of wounds.
Tilukis. Modron's a gumpas to patch this lawn.
Your aid is welcome.
Men drown themselves in ale on Samhain. But I fear for the fragile peace when Tewdwr becomes eldermen.
With Dina fall. Regardless of Poise of Puar.
Now go, child. I promise not to cut it off before your return.
Give me strength.
My mam Modron is known and a humor towish Gudran.
I'm glad you all finding my mortal injury so funny.
We then move forward through the story to reach Brigid in the longhouse where we meet her alone.
Eivor! Finally tiri de chwaled.
Brigid, it is good to see you.
Eivor! But this become of Tewdwr. Did you faint yours corf?
Thank you. Gunnar as well.
Dawl am your whereabouts. And dichel am your dathliadai.
Both the first and the third choices lead to the same outcome, so we will show you the one that we picked.
If you gattle it, then the babans will do no a lay a got.
But now I really need to find Coonan.
Dathliadai am, sir!
If you talk to Brigid once again before starting your new mission, she will try to speed you up by saying,
Please or Tewdwr and Govlim. Ma prior speed depend on Rachib.
That was the last of Brigid's dialogues from the Glowecestrescire Arc, so we can skip forward and move to Gunnar and Brigid's wedding in Ravensthorpe.
I am honored to stand before you, Gunnar, Brigid, on this bountiful day, to celebrate the strength of your bond and see you wed. I am in witness of a love that inspires and empowers. I invite you now to speak your vows.
To you, my darling Brigid, I offer this blade, forged in flames that burn as brightly as my heart does for you. A blade as sharp as your wit, as glinting as your beauty. May it sing through the air as sweetly as your voice meets my ears.
Dio, see we did carry to Gunnar. Do never am luckiest, but if it's door a heat to tea and Harriet.
And I give you my sword and my promise that I will stand at your side forever.
He'd be the brother on future and heen. And the so tawaloch and hope, a premonition. On the mount of scrying a foresight, paratoivi, a sweeping adventure meeting tea. Tiwr enaid fel dim arall. A dyn as strong aburatiki. Ac fel as I fierce. But Calon, and hedfan dirty.
Such poetry. Oh dear. You make me cry, my love.
It is hedfan Evan Gilith, Treboid and beyond.
I offer you this ring. And take yours in kind. I will wear it with pride and honor, warmed by the love of so perfect a lady.
And I gwisg of a Calon, adoration a feed and bith.
This is the greatest day of my life. Embrace me, my love.
With our couple now bonded in matrimony, now we drink.
That was very romantic, to be honest, and if you try and talk to the newlyweds in Ravensthorpe after the wedding, this is what you will hear.
Diolch Eivor. I couldn't be more happy to Boma. Hoping now but Welsh in a case Misha the years.
Yes, of course.
And that's it for today's video. Did you enjoy the lines by Brigid, or did you expect something different from her mumbling? How did you like the wedding scene now that you know what both characters are saying? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.